your body or there's the voice in your head that's saying, stop, this hurts, this isn't worth it. All of those things. It happens to all of us, right? But some people quit and some don't. Why didn't you?
So I think Frank would always, I think a big part of it is the acknowledgement of that voice and that it's not your friend. And he would say that. He's like, sir, to your point, we all have it. It will always tell you no or you can't. But you're in charge. The voice is not in charge. You're in charge. And why did you just have to believe, right? And part of it was him pushing me. Part of it was me wanting it, whatever that combination was. I bought in. I bought into the fact that I'm a human being and I have that voice. And that voice will tell me, oof, this is painful. Stop, right? We all have it. But then there's Frank in my ear. There's my motivation saying, no, mute that voice. Like, ignore that. You're in control, right? And Frank would always talk about the puppet versus the puppet master. He said, don't be a puppet, be the puppet master. You're in control. You don't stop just because that voice tells you to stop, right? And so that was my mentality. And again, where did it come from? Like I said, I think it's a combination of things. I think he really helped me with that. I think I had a little bit of that grit, being hard-nosed. And part of that comes from my family, knowing, again, what they went through, what they overcame. Shoot, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting on a sandhill, right? So that was just how it happened. But man, it served me so well then. And by the way, I mentioned that really hard year I had as a sophomore and then doing all this work with Frank. My junior year at Stanford, I was the most improved player in the whole country. I went from averaging 3.4 points per game to 18 points per game. No one in the conference would have even taken me my sophomore year. My junior year, I was one of the best in the country at my position. I was an All-American based off of my performance that year. And some of that was I had more opportunity because our starters left, but a big part of that was just the work I put in with Frank.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for listeners to understand, like, you don't necessarily have to improve incrementally. You can improve by leaps and bounds if you're willing to put in that work. And it sounds like you did.
Absolutely. And not my skills, I worked on my skills, my body, my mind, all of that had improved significantly. And for my sport, which is basketball, it's a package. So once they were all put together on the basketball court, I don't get tired. My mind doesn't ever wear down. My body is strong. And, I think that progress can be meteoric, and rises can be meteoric if you want them to be.
What did your coaches and your teammates say when you came back? They must have been blown away.
What'd you do this summer? Right? It was pretty clear. It was pretty clear that I came ready and prepared and motivated, because basketball is a very competitive sport. It's cutthroat and you can't be shy about it. Right. And I wasn't at that point. And so, yeah, and I write in the book about the mile run, which is this race at the beginning of the year, which kind of shows it was just a competition. You're on a hot track, whistle blows, you're racing. And these are all elite athletes who, are student athletes at Stanford. And I won that mile race with a 5:05 time, which, 6'6", 220, that's a pretty nice mile time pace. And yeah, people were like, oh man, because I didn't do that my first 2 years. I didn't win that race. And then they said, wow, I think Danny's ready to roll here, and then once practice started, yeah, it was kind of clear that I had put the work in. What was interesting is that my coach, he didn't anoint me as the starter at my position. He was still pushing me, and even before the last game, they had 4 positions decided, but not the shooting guard position, which was my position. And I was just so hungry, foaming out the mouth. And I remember actually getting a videotape of one of our early practices from our video staff to send to my dad, because I was like, Dad, you won't believe this. You won't believe this, right? And I did send it to him, and I got the starting position. I had 23 points, 11 rebounds our first game, right? It was just onward and upward from there. But yeah, and you know what's so cool about that moment? I remember thinking, man, this is awesome, because it's one of those rare moments in life where it just makes sense. You put in the work, you sacrifice, and you're getting the reward.